Good morning. Good morning. Hey, how y'all doing, man? Good morning. Hidden
What's up?
Blacks Law.
How are you?
We back and we live.
Oh man,
Oh yeah.
that better ass.
Yeah.
You look like you just woke up.
Well, I took it as, hey, I can finally not have to be up at the crack of dawn. But
Yes, sir. Welcome back.
Shit,
This
I
your boy
told
Big
you.
Mike. Thank you, Radio. Hidden Blacks Law. Google in plain sight. We in the building today, y'all. We gonna talk to y'all. Oh yeah. We gonna keep bringing it to you. And we're live.
Yep. So
Quick
disclaimer.
disclaimer.
was that on me? Well, as you know, we on here doing it for informational, educational, and entertaining purposes for all who are willing to hear what we got to say today. Now, of course, this is not legal advice. This is just background knowledge. Please, if you do need legal counsel for a matter at hand, seek it as you are advised. Otherwise, enjoy the content that we have prepared for you. It is all background and sourced in law, case law.
There it is. Uh-huh. Yes, yes. So
Like you said, we only deal with
what we
facts
got
on
for
here.
them today? Facts only.
Hey, you want to hit him with the screen cap? I remember we said we wanted to introduce it off the break with the either the Hale versus Henkel or the chart that we had outlined. One or the other.
I say
Okay.
start with that Hale versus Hinkle. Just say that off break because that has to be said every single cast from now on.
Yeah, why not? That's pretty universal.
All right. All right. I'm slipping on my pimping. Hold on. Let's see here. Bang. 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 You sent it to my text, right?
Yeah, sure did. Yep. Oh, I got it. If you needed it, you want me to read it while you pulls it up?
Just go ahead.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and read it.
All right, bet. All right, so give me. All right, got it. Here we go. All right, bet. So while we get that in motion. Oh, come on, screen. There it goes. All right, so Hale versus Hinkle. This is from 1906. It was decided by the United States that the Supreme Court in 1906. The opinion of the court states, the individual may stand upon his constitutional rights as a citizen. He is entitled to carry his private business in his own way. His power to contract is unlimited. He owes no duty to the state or to his neighbors to divulge his business or to open his doors to an investigation, so far as it may tend to incriminate him. He owes no duty to the state, since he receives nothing therefrom, beyond the protection of his life and property. His rights are such as existed by the law of the land, common law, long antecedent to the organization of the state, and can only be taken from him by due process of law and in accordance with the Constitution. He owes nothing to the public so long as he does not trespass upon their rights.
Bang bang.
And that's heavy, man. Oh man, you know that funny? Actually, like I like how that very last statement was literally leading right into our discussion forum for today, because this is our second installment of breaking down law of the land versus law of the sea, or written law versus unwritten law, i.e., common law versus maritime admiralty law. And this one we had kind of labeled oh yeah, that's literally the label of this cast today: public versus private, part 2, common law versus commercial law. And all those other alternative names for each. I mean, well, so we can pull up either or, and then we do have a handy chart there for you that will show you the ways in which these things contradistinct themselves.
Yeah, the chart will go into how they apply to you. It will basically give you that how you interact with them on a daily basis. So what is the practical application of each form of law? There is literally only 2 forms of law. There's nothing else. Everything falls under the 2 forms of law category, the subsections. And when you look at the 2 forms of law, they never are the same, and they are almost always in contradiction of the other. So you have to know which one you're talking about at each time.
And basically,
most time when you go to a courtroom, they would never tell you which one. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to get into that Hale versus Hinkle background yet again, because why it's so important to understand what was established by that case there, which is you owe nothing to the public so long as you don't trespass against the public forum, which is as if you remain in your private capacity, which is that's what we're really going to help people understand and embrace today. When in your private capacity, the public can't interact with you, because, and it said, your rights were antecedent or before the creation of the state. So the state can only help outline the rights you already possess. They don't grant them, like people are so often ill-informed.
Rights are not privileges that are granted by a state. A state can only grant privileges. It cannot give you rights. They never have the ability to tell you what you. They don't even technically have the ability to tell you what your rights are. They just have to. They have only the ability to agree to what they already are. Those rights were there before the state was created. Those rights will be there after the state has been dismantled and gone another way. It is why that you have the legal system. Since the legal system changes all the time, your rights do not change. The legal system, they were there before the legal system. That is why you have constitutional law, why they call them constitutional rights. Your rights are not dependent upon the system of government that is in, because that changes on a daily basis. You always hear they pass a new legislation. There's no such thing as legislative law. So
yeah, that's one of those oxymoronic things.
Yeah, there's no such as legislative law. So when they tell you a new law was passed and it's legislation, there is no such thing as legislative law. There's legislative policy. There's things that are given the force of law, but there is no such thing as legislative law. And given the force of law does not make it law. It just means it is applied in such a manner that it could be, as applies in such a manner that is like law. It's basically, as my brother and I just like to joke about, is law light? or I can't believe it's not law.
Oh man.
Or I like to call it law-like products. Like when they have you eating those artificial GMO foods and they had to label it food-like product so that it's okay for them to give it to you so you don't get the ability to sue them if you opt to buy it. That's a law-like product that you can't attack unless you understand why it's not law and how it doesn't apply to you. They're allowed to enforce it as if it is law because you don't know any better. Should you choose to opt in?
It's an agreement. Everything in law is an agreement. If you agree, then can be. That's what it is. If you agree, then this can be. And silence. That's one other thing we need to talk about is the fact that silence, it means you agree. Like we said in another cast, if you remain silent, that means you agree to whatever is happening because you did not contradict it. You did not say I don't agree. You didn't say I object. You didn't say I do not consent. You didn't say I plead the whatever fifth or fourth or first or whatever. You didn't say that. And now, when you get to the Supreme Court cases that have been happening lately, they have made it so that you must say that, even though those are always your rights. You must tell people that you are using your rights. For it to
goes the chart.
Taken that you are using your right. So when you don't assert, hey, I have this right, and I am going, and it's not that I'm using it. It is just making it known that I have this right. So rights, you are not allowed to do whatever. If you don't actually state that, they will say, oh well, since you were silent, you agreed.
We just assumed you were in the public capacity since we interacted with you in public, and that's the whole thing about needing warrants and all this stuff to be on your property or to otherwise interact with you, where it's your dominion and your domain. So if you happen to be in public and you don't know how to claim private capacity as a man who's not in the public's domain, they'll treat you as though you're in the public domain. And yeah, once again, practical
another cast. Yeah, practical application. Like we spoke again on another cast, prior cast. A lot to do is rehashing of material because the only way you're ever going to understand it is if you do things so you can't get them wrong.
Especially in these matters.
Cop pulls over when a cop pulls over a truck driver, practical application, they will say, I am on PC time. Whether or not they are conducting business or whether they are on their private capacity time.
Could you
private conveyance? That's what PC times stands for. Private conveyance. That's what it stands for.
They literally have a term for it within the industry. But see, they expect people in the industry to understand that. They just expect to treat you like people in the industry without telling you what people in the industry already know.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So hey, you got that chart up on a quick reference so we can just make that distinction for everyone?
Absolutely.
Bet. So just in case if it's a little small for you, that yellow segment you see there lists all the terminology that outlines you're dealing in the aspect of common law, which is of course law of the land, your universal rights. And then of course on the blue section is law of the sea, or commercial law or admiralty maritime law. I mean, actually, I'm sure you can probably go ahead and read all those off for your own. Just understand that those are all the terms that apply to which side of the society you're operating in. Funny enough, operating is one of those public capacity words. So conducting yourself in, should you be in the yellow.
That blue is that straw man, huh?
There it is.
That's the term everyone uses, straw man. It's really not even it's really not so much a straw man as it is your shell company.
Hmm.
So when you
Or
have, um, I was going to say, when you have a business, right? Everything that's done in business must be in all capitals because that is everything from your name to any. Okay, I'm put it the best way to put it, the best way you can understand it. If you look at your license, it is a business contract, and on your license, it has your names in all capitals. Everything's in all capitals because it is considered an technically, if you want to make it understandable in its most simplest form, it's an LLC. You're acting as you're acting as this, and just like a business, your business can be sued. Your business can have consequences for anything done under your business, whether it be failure to pay or your business conducting itself in a wrong manner while contracting with someone else, and the business gets sued and the business takes a hit. Now, what you can do in regular life is you can file for bankruptcy, or you can just dissolve the business, or just not do anything as far as the business is concerned after a certain amount of period of time, just because you don't feel like it. The way people conduct business on a regular basis, though, is you do not know you are under a business contract. If you call the say we call the DMV or the MVA or whatever they decide to call it now. I don't know. They will, if you ask them, where is it in the any type of information that you are given that this is a contract, they will say, hold on, let me find it for you. They will come back with a supervisor and say, do you have any questions for me? I'm trying to figure out where yes, you ask. I'm trying to figure out where it says under the contract that under the kind of licensing information for that this is a contract. It was like, well, if you need a license, just let me know, or I'll tell you good day. They will never answer the question because there is no place under it that tells you it's a contract. That is called technically when all parties are not known of everything in a contract, the contract is null and void. Both parties have to be aware of everything that's written inside the contract and which is used in the contract. You can't have a shadow contract, a contract that no one knows about. When Plain Sight had a problem with a phone company, they made a shadow contract without his knowledge. So they had to refund them all the money from that shadow contract because he did not agree to those terms. They just assumed he agreed. When you assume, what's saying? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Oh man, yeah.
They assumed he wanted to be under the contract until he said, "Oh, what are you doing? I never made this contract with you. Why are you stealing my money?" I mean, Plants I can talk about more than I can because it was his dealing, but you have to understand that they will do shadow contracts without your knowledge.
Yeah, I ain't gotta dig too much into it, but the hilarity of that matter was when I had called out the corporation on their wrongdoing, the representative thought, she was like, "Oh, well, your name is on the contract," and she thought she was a Disney supervillain. Oh, so you just thought because my name was there that now that's how that works? Nah, I had to explain to her. Now, of course, they send you to a representative who happens to be talking to you. They're in the Philippines. So I'm like, "Oh, ma'am, are you really familiar with American legality?" And she seemed so certain until I finally I tried to get a hold of their supervisor. Before that could happen, she had just contacted me back again and said everything was refunded. And I was totally clear on everything. And they owed me back money.
Yeah.
See, that's just how it goes. You got to go to the top until you get to the person who understands exactly what you're saying, because representatives are given a script. They just read it. talking to a
Mm-hmm.
zombie. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and just really quick aside onto
We're just doing.
what. Okay.
I was gonna say when you say talk to a zombie, my favorite zombie line is we're just doing our job.
It's funny. I should use that term too, because actually, if you look back at that yellow and blue list, you don't got to pull it up. But for anyone who happened to witness it, you'd see that the word at the bottom center was dead. Illegal, commercial, public sphere, admiralty. All these words that equal this subdivision of, well, not even law. It's like a alternative to law is dead. So they're letting you know that's fictitious. It's an entity that is not of the mortal flesh. So they literally use that terminology for it.
Wow. Yeah, it says it right there.
Mm-hmm.
It says it right there on the that list.
Oh yeah, and just one more aside onto what Google was saying.
Fiction.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, fiction. Yeah, fiction and dead.
De facto.
See, and de facto. See, hey, that's what we're going to default to.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't assert your own, you'll use ours. And matter of fact, like Google was just stating about your all caps name being a business, you'll actually know that if you can actually claim it as an account and you would call yourself, you are the holder in due course for that public account. Your all capital name is your public account. See, and that's why whenever people ask you what your name is, casually let them know that that's what you go by. Because as a man, you're a soul. You're not a name.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that natural law.
There it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is all really important to have on your to have at your disposal when interacting with fictional entities.
Absolutely. And that's that's one of the other things too that I see on there that like people I guess don't ever say anything about, but it says that all holders of a public oath of office must serve the private people. Must in capital letters.
Oh yeah, because they took an oath to the Constitution.
Yeah.
Hey, Google, there's a quote that I know you always know off the top of your head. It was a judge who said it about people who opt into being in the prison system. I don't know if you got that at the top. Did he freeze up?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. He had dropped off and then came back, and then
okay, I guess the Wi-Fi still a little.
Yeah, it looked like he was just saying something, but it's just not coming through.
Got you. Well, in the meantime, in the meantime, while that works itself out, I know that the quote goes something to the effect of, "Those who find themselves in prison do so of their own free will and volition." Something to that extent. That's a paraphrase. There he is. There he goes. I heard you.
I'm sorry. You saw me put the finger up my like I said, man, living out in the boonies, you got the service isn't always there for you. It's not everywhere you be.
I'm glad you brought up Visa. Actually, I got something to say to y'all after this cast is out.
What was the question?
Okay, no, I was saying there's a quote by a judge who was basically explaining how people opt into prison.
Okay. What was the question? Because I know you posed the question.
No, that was the question.
Yeah, it's one of the first. Yeah. I was one of the first presentations to law I ever had was. It was actually a Supreme Court judge, and I do not remember exactly which one it was. and where I can find it, because it's always a point in time I try to go look to see who actually said the quotation or citation first. But most times they just have it as, a judge. They just write it out, a judge. It was actually a Supreme Court judge, but it was the fact that most people in prison are there voluntarily.
Mm-hmm.
Voluntarily. A lot of times you don't understand what you're saying in courtroom. So when they say is whatever, say John Smith present, well, they're talking about the John Smith in all capitals, because when you're stepping in, you never ask them, is this a common law court or is this an admiralty law court? Or is this a law? Is it a law of statute, or is it a law? Or you really even didn't ask, is it a court of law in the first place? Because you could be in a district court. Because in order for it to be a court of law, you actually have to have a jury, where people are concerned. Where people are concerned, you ask that you have a jury there, and be able to have a jury trial. So to have a trial by jury, not a jury trial. It's two different things. A trial by jury and a jury trial, they're different. Trial by jury is not so much arbitrator between the two parties to make sure everything stays fair, right? Then you have a jury trial. That just means that they are there to see everything that's happening, to witness it. They're more witnesses. When you have a jury trial as their witnesses, you always come into the realm of a judge can overturn this, or a clerk can overturn this, because he has final say so. No one else. When you see court cases, you sometimes say the judge has overruled, or the judge has made a decision that is contradictory to whatever the jury decided. Not a lot of times that most judges will go with what the jury has decided, just because it's easier than having to try to go against them and say all these things, because then that leads them into thinking about, well, why can't he just make a decision regardless of whatever we said?
Oh, that's interesting, because right now,
when you start bringing in those to the we start it might go out. My advice telling me it might go out. It's having problems anyway. Don't be surprised, people. So the judge has made a decision, because the judge can overturn jury trials. A trial by jury, he has no choice.
So this guy right here, Derek Chauvin, matter of fact, practical application. Right now, he's in a jury trial, not a trial by jury. So pretty much the state agent is probably so y'all already know how that's going to play, but that's a different conversation for a different cast. Maybe we'll update on that as we get closer to that wrapping up. But yeah, so your name, as far as the public is concerned, is just an account.
Yeah. Going further for you, this is one I always use too. Always say, when you look at the back of your Social Security card, right? Your Social Security card says it is property of Social Security Administration, and if it's lost, or you've been found, one who has met the name that's on the card, return to the Social Security Administration. It doesn't say return to the individual. It says return to the Social Security Administration.
Oh man, we need our property back.
Exactly. That's our property. They are using, this name that we have allowed them to use in the form of business, but it's still our property because the name is that they are using. And that's when you get into the whole trustee, and what's the other term? I can't remember right now. My brain's fried.
Trustor or trustee, and I know what you're talking about. There's 3 parties in a trust. People need to look up trust. We should probably get into trust, but that can be a whole thing with trust law. But yeah.
That's on the cast.
Because the trust will let you operate as anything. Beneficiary, there you go. Yeah, and you're in the position of beneficiary of the contract. But, I mean, the terms suck. So if you consider yourself a beneficiary, that's on you. I would tell you to reconsider. That's like you telling yourself you're a beneficiary of a bank account getting a fraction of a percent back against 2% inflation. If you think that's beneficial, I mean, enjoy your bank account.
Oh yeah. Oh, they know how to tie you up now.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, it's all about branding. Like,
let's come in. Hold this. I know. We're talking about practical application, right? We got to talk about practical application. I personally, well, not personally, I as an individual, as a man, have taken it upon myself to inform my state that I am under no contracts with them or any entities that do business with them. There is no contractual me as the man between the 2 parties unless I agree to them. And if you consider me which is property government, then you would have to pay me as an employee, which is a subject of the government or property of the government. If you consider me an employee, you have a fixed amount that I am owed each month or week in order to do that. And Plain Sight knows this for a fact because Plain Sight was there when I presented them with the contract, and they were like, well, since you don't agree to our contract, what do you have a contract for us? They literally asked me word for word, verbatim. Okay, since you don't agree to our contract, do you have a contract for us? And they said, okay, we'll go over this and get back to you.
You came prepared.
Wow.
You want to be prepared, not surprised.
Wow.
Hey, matter of fact, hold on. You know what? I'm here to bolster Google's argument even further. I'm gonna enhance it another step further than the fact that other than the fact that I was actually a witness to the matter discussed there stated. So Bach, I'm about to shoot you something right quick. I'd love for you to just post this on the screen right quick for everyone to see.
Okay, put it in the Instagram.
Oh, it's in the okay. Word. Whoops. I got you. All right. Give me like 3 seconds because I already got that joint cropped up and ready. I love how quick I'm ready to access this one. All right. Bam. Yeah, and let me and I love it because what you're about to witness is evidence of a public official bolstering the statement made by Google there. Not just the fact that it's already stated in law. Here's a public official endorsing the law. You know what I'm posting.
People only business. You have to end business.
All right, so hey, I don't know if Google just broke up there, but yeah, if anyone's having issues seeing that, I'd gladly read it out for you.
Yeah,
this thing is thorough.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, you got a whiff of that?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, yeah. While Google reestablishes his connection, Well, I'll go ahead and read a little bit of that for you. All right, so this was actually sent to Ralph Milstead. This is back in December, obviously December 10th of 1985. Ralph Milstead happens to be the director of the Department of Public Safety. Oh man, for the state of Arizona. This is going to make me reference another matter I was just talking about. But anyways, it says, Dear Director Milstead, it has come to my attention that numerous individuals in our state have rescinded all of their contracts with the United States federal government, the state of Arizona, and each of its political subdivisions, establishing themselves as free men under the organic national constitution of the Republic of the United States of America. Consequently, they may be driving without auto registration, driver's license, or any other evidence of contract. Because many law enforcement personnel may be unaware of the contractual nature of auto registration, the driver's license, it is conceivable that this situation may lead to confrontation between these individuals and law enforcement personnel. I understand you to inform yourself of your personnel about this matter as soon as possible. If you would like to be briefed by someone knowledgeable on the subject, please contact me. In the meantime, insomuch as the procedure is entirely appropriate when properly carried out, I would like to be personally notified of every such incidence of confrontation in order that the persons involved and the public officials involved may be appraised of the correct procedure and the appropriateness of their actions on the part of each concerned. And then he goes on to tell his office phone number, and so that he's requesting to be notified of the names and incidences along with the addresses and phone numbers of the participants of any such confrontations arising from the exercise of the person's free man status in order to evaluate the outcome properly. So
85.
Yeah, sincerely, Wayne Stump, state senator of Arizona.
The senator wrote that to the oh man,
director of public safety, so that they can understand that they need to interact with these people in the proper fashion.
Accordingly.
Yeah, according. Yep.
Yes, sir.
The law reigns supreme. And shout out to Congressman Wayne Stump for being a stand-up guy and going to bat for what he knows is on the books and what is law. I mean, now of course he's kind of obligated to do so, but he's also the man for doing it.
Yeah. For the people.
He's no longer a senator. Probably most likely due to this right now, but that is true.
They had to get him up out of there, huh? Oh, you doing too much, cuz.
You're messing up our game, bro. We had the sliders set on rigged.
Hey. All the computer accolades are set at the highest level. We playing on all-star level.
Man, you playing on nightmare mode.
You're taking us down to rookie.
Man, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean that's so great, man. That's so great, you know. Man, I can't believe why more of them don't do this. Like, that's. I mean, I know why. You know.
Oh man,
it's
not profitable. I know it's not profitable. Yeah.
Man, beyond the profit, you know.
I'm gonna hit you to. Hold on. I'm gonna hit you to some information that I guarantee almost no one knows. A state makes up, on average, enough from the court proceedings and dealings of the court themselves for the whole budget of employee what's the payments or your
salary?
What's the income?
Income, yeah.
Their salary, exactly. That's right. Thank you. Yeah. In 1 month. In 1 month.
They keep that courtroom
for everybody
jamming.
in the courts. in the courts, if you work in the courts, that court or I say that legal system that they're using makes up enough money in 1 month to pay for everyone's salary that works for the court for the whole entire year.
Jesus.
Hey, Google, that reminds me of you mentioning your friend's perpetually suspended license matter.
Yes. I have a friend. I consider him I can't even consider him a rival. So I'm into health and fitness. You know, I'm in the health industry. And one of the things I do is I got into was the competition modes, right? The competition, and in the competitions you show up. You know, they show how their body and how fit they are, and people judge them and stuff like that. Like IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding, and stuff like that, right? And he is a competitor who was also going against me, but we live so close. We both live in Maryland. Everyone who's from this area pretty much talks to each other, sees what everybody else is doing. You know, we pretty much support each other. Long story short, he has had his license suspended for over a year. It went from a 6-month suspension to a year, because even when he went back after the so-called suspension was done, they said, "Oh, we saw something else. We found that you have these many points or whatever, so your license needs to be suspended again for another couple months or whatever." So it's in that point where they continually it's a continuous suspension, even though it's not a suspension at all, because they suspended your driving privileges, but they did the ability to be on the road, no, because they can't. They don't have the right. They don't have the jurisdiction for that. And as you saw from the two categories, common law versus admiralty law, they only have one jurisdiction, and a single sole jurisdiction they have. According to Section Constitution for the United States of America, admiralty jury.
Yeah. Oh man, got the technical difficulties. It sounds like I'm interested for him to come there. You starting to get back into it. Oh man, dang! Sound like he was about to get into some real Decepticon stuff right there.
He was about to break it down.
Man, that's savage. If I'm to understand where he was going with that point, they told that man that there's actually only one kind of jurisdiction involved, and as we all have, as we've cited quite voraciously, we all know that there's a public capacity and a private capacity. I think you're back. Oh, you want to make that? Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah, I'm sorry. You want to finish that point, because you kind of stopped at the point. It kind of broke out at the point you were talking that the court was trying to notify this man that there was only one jurisdiction.
No, I'm saying we need to notify people that is in jurisdiction, because that's why we have the information. We saw it put it said common law versus admiralty law. It said on an article, you can look it up. Like I said, everything we do is factual. The Constitution for the United States of America in Article 3, Section 2 says their sole jurisdiction. It labels their jurisdiction. It tells you what jurisdiction they have. It tells you what they go under and how it applies to the contracts of the United States. In it, you will see it says that all parties that are controlled by the United States is what they have contracts with.
So they're just treating everybody like government employees, huh?
Remember what what's the definition of citizen?
Yeah, I'm very familiar.
A subject of a government.
Yeah.
Hey,
Subject of a
man.
government.
Yeah, we went in heavy on that subject the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, a subject of the government. Just by labeling you a subject means you're under my control. You are the king's castle, and you are under our rules. We say.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you should bring this up. Hey, practical application once again. I was having a conversation with a friend because he's really into this financial guy because he comes from like a very strong conservative Christian background, right? So y'all might be familiar with a dude named David Ramsey.
Oh yeah, I heard of.
Yeah. So he even got like he got his own podcast with his other minister friend, and they just rap about how to invest and you know, it all really perks his ears up. So I'm like, he's always sharing background on him. And I just happened to run across a story on Facebook the other day. Apparently he's in hot water right now because he had a female employee who basically was in violation of a contract that she had with his company. And you know, since he's all about his conservative Christian background, it's basically like I want to make sure I say the exact term of the policy because it's interesting. It's very interesting to see how.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because I got that thing right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna even be able to tell you exactly what the policy is called because we just had this chat like
premarital
2 days ago. Yeah. Yeah, so basically she was in violation of his it was basically like a moral policy about the way employees should act. But I'm like, okay, now I'm subject to the rules of your job when I'm on the clock, when I'm on your company time or I'm on company property. So once you try to basically bind me to contracts that apply once I leave your office, things get a little dicey about how heavily a thing of that nature can be enforced. So that's the same thing. But now, you know, when they call you a citizen and you're just saying you're subject to, they're basically saying you're always on company time.
Oh man. Always.
You are forever an employee.
Yeah, that's where you stand. Oh, as a matter of fact, the policy was called the Righteous Living Policy. So you can already tell. Like, how you gonna have a company policy about my life?
Yeah, right.
Now I get where you're coming from with the religious background, but that's kind of void contract because the terms are offset by the way in which you can actually enforce it.
Well, it's really offset because this called a policy. A policy means opinion. That's really what policy means, opinion. So,
man, I know that's crazy.
When you say opinion is now a contract, I don't understand that.
Well,
I mean, your opinion can change tomorrow. How does that affect me?
I don't know, man, because government stuff, isn't that all policy? But, I mean, their employees choose to operate under it. Yeah, and that's what I was saying about the diciness of it. Yeah,
choose.
Okay, fair. Well, I mean, you choose to be employed.
Choose.
They're not going to...
Choice. You choose to work for them. You choose to be employed by them. You choose to be under contract. Your choice. You signed the contract. I didn't force.
Oh.
That's the whole problem.
Yeah,
You
and that was
chose
the argument.
the
That was
contract.
the argument point my friend had.
No one forced your hand.
Now, I mean, and my only statement to him was a contract can void itself out once you infringe upon the actual common law to enforce it. Because, I mean, you can't just sign me into a contract that says slavery's cool, even if I choose to join in on that contract. The moment at which I note that, whoa, that's not even legal. You know, that's not even law. You really can't do that. And I just shoot to note that now we're in, we've entered into different territories.
It's true.
When it's consensual, that's one thing. If I choose to be a slave, well, hey man, you can. I don't know why you chose that, man.
Facts. And if I choose to be in prison, locked up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like, man, there are people in prison for traffic violations. That's not a crime.
Right. That's crazy.
I was just saying if there's no meeting of the minds, there is no contract. That's literally is contract law 101. There's no meeting of the minds, there is no contract. You can't sign a contract if both parties don't agree to it.
That's why if you ever sign a rental agreement or a mortgage, you know that the person sitting across the desk from you has to literally go over the contract point by point before they even hand you the pen. They have to do it.
Wow. That's why signatures take so long on mortgage contracts and things. Funny, when you go over a mortgage contract, you see how they will sit there and make sure you understand everything that's in the contract, word for word, making sure line for line to make sure that in the court, when it comes up later, this contract. Apply that to when you get a rental agreement. What do they do?
Sign right here.
Do they go over it with you? They read it to you. They make sure you understand.
Read it. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Because then at any point you choose to go back on anything that was said, they get to say, well, Your Honor, I read the contract to the defendant, or who, I guess they're probably coming after you in that situation. Sure. I read the contract to the defendant point by point. They opted to sign in after having it read to them. Now you're in a whole different world of trouble. You had any moment during that reading to bring up objections. And that's the only way in which a contract is enforceable, because they went over it point by point and got your agreement on every principle.
Uh-huh. Initial right here. Do you understand?
This clause here, this paragraph there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you said that.
Ironclad.
I remember there was a time Courtney and I, my wife and I were getting, when we had an apartment, and we office, and we were signing. Said we were going over, and they said, "What are you doing?" They actually literally asked, "What are you doing?" We were like, "We're reading." It was like, "Oh, most people just sign it."
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not signing anything. I don't know. What is that? Like, who does that? I don't know who most people are to you, but I'm not doing that.
Right. Then they want to rush you. Right?
Wait. You got upset because we were taking too long for them to hurry up and sign the contract. Mm-hmm. They assumed we were, and
that's hilarious.
That came to thing. There's so anything at all besides I'm just doing my job. Just say what's on the script. Don't say anything else, because we don't want you to get information, because you're going to mess it up and get a suit. So just script. Because they were just reading what's on the script, we talked to the higher ups. The higher ups had to actually come to the facility, explain
Man, that's crazy. But no, I mean, working in the industry, the fitness industry, bro, it is literally like that. Like people get upset. I mean, literally get upset when they reading the contract and you're like, hold on, wait, nah, let them check it out. You know what I mean? Like I always let people check out the contracts.
That's what's up. Yeah, they come at it from the perspective of salespeople. Like it's like, oh, we slide it out this amount of time because then we know it takes us this long to read it. At that point, they just sign. We don't even expect them to read it. And it's funny because Google's commentary there sounded like my interactions with various people throughout my life at many intervals. It's like, what are you doing? I'm reading.
Hey.
When the Boondocks of life, man. Yeah, wow.
Oh man, I feel like that's the genesis of this podcast here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we read stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Got some definitions for you. Got some lookups.
Reading. And in time, especially when you go to a court setting, they will be very upset when you decide to read what's in the documentation. They always say, sign this. Well, what's signing? Well, it's that you agree to this. Can I read it? I mean, why don't you just sign it? Because I want to read it.
I told you what it was.
Why are you not just going everyone else just signs it?
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of your conversation with the IRS agent.
Beat the sheet.
Yeah.
Everyone pays. Oh man.
That's a contractual agreement. Everyone pays. That's not how it works.
Everyone does it.
So we jumping off bridges today, huh?
I'm everyone. No.
Yeah. Man, Lemming.
Hey, those behaviors are to be expected. Like, man, we see SOP, as I like to call it. Standard operating
procedure.
Yeah. That's how they work.
Oh man.
But
so
like we said, the whole reason was to get you to get you in touch and to see for yourself and to apply your everyday life what the difference in the two types of law are, as there are only two forms of law. Don't let anybody try to lie to you and tell you there's more. Don't let anybody try to fabricate any information that you cannot see for yourself that is not tangible, right? When someone just tells you something and won't show you where it says it and won't show you what it's based upon, always take that with a grain of salt. That's all I gotta say. Take that with a grain of salt. If it just says, this book says, well, where is the law that says that? He says, in this book, and just shows you a book. It won't show you what it says. Well, you might want to rethink about what he's saying.
Y'all heard that?
If you come at you with a statute or code that says the law says, and they say code whatever, well, I didn't hear law in that. The statute says, oh, well, I didn't hear statute in that. I asked you for the law.
Yeah, I'm not beholden to your policy.
Right. You will not get me.
So, hey, this is a strong urging on our behalf for anyone who happens to be catching this stream to go ahead, either now or later, look into public and private, understand what the idea of being in your private capacity is all about, understand the power held within, and you'll be well served by the liberty you've obtained.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I'll go one further. Read the Constitution. Read the documents that are there to support you. Your state constitution. our state of the state of Maryland Constitution literally says in Article 24 that no man can be diseased, taken, or pretty much removed of any of their rights or privileges. It doesn't say just rights. It says rights or privileges without a jury trial or a trial by jury.
Which is hilarious because law enforcement would be the first people to tell you that driving is a privilege. And they say it with such stern, like, driving is a privilege, young man. I'm like, yo, I'm a whole adult, buddy. Article 24.
There it is. And listen, I had to tell a lot of people this because some people just don't like to read or don't like to, actually really like tap in.
You're generous.
There are apps that will read the page for you and you can just listen. Ooh. So don't be afraid to tap into those types of technology so that you can learn this. You might see this Constitution and be like, oh my God, there's so many words. What does it mean? This, that, and the third. Listen, there are apps out here who will read it directly to you and you can learn it that way. But definitely tap in.
If you don't understand a word, look it up. Do not look in Webster's dictionary for law terms. They are in legal dictionaries, not Webster's dictionary. There is literally a whole language called legalese, the language of law. It is not Webster's dictionary. Do not look in your everyday Webster's dictionary from the common individual. They do not speak law.
There are 3 forms of English: proper English, slang, which is the vernacular of the people, and then there is legalese, the language of courtrooms. It's a language unto itself. The terms do not mix. They have their own separate capacities.
There it is, y'all. We bringing it to you, man. We bringing it to you, giving you options on how you gonna learn it, how you gonna digest it. But definitely tap in.
Or if you don't want to.
Yeah, right. Hey, man. Resources for the solution oriented.
Be subjected to the constant and continuous cycle of doom, whatever you want to call it. But get smart, get learned up, focus in, man. Hidden Black's Law, Google in plain sight, man. Bringing y'all that info each and every week, man.
We do it because we love you.
That's
Amen
why.
To that.
Alrighty. Y'all know what it is, man. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody who tapped in. We will get this posted for y'all, and we'll be back next week. Y'all have a good one. Take care.
You too.
Peace.